Okay, back to the soapbox. Yeah, I got my reading. How about Regina?
Regina.
It's working on
Washington City Council guys mess this up.
Yeah, because this thing fell in there. Announcements. Does anyone have an announcement at this time?
Is there a picture or just the art? Oh, okay.
Just our
Everything's there, it's just not on our screen. Okay, that's good.
announcements. Does any commissioners, anyone have an announcement to make? General comments. Nobody signed up?
No, there's nothing.
And the chair, this is what's report on water projects. That,
I know. We're going to do Janice first. Thank you. Janice Murphy, Sports Complex Manager, has been asked to update the board on before
But to my surprise, stands up on top of
Probably an
the,
exhaust
the grill room, it's above
for
the
the
grill.
grill.
Yeah.
well, I was thinking up on the, near the peak of the main roof,
Oh.
there's a little,
That like cupola.
it's
Yeah.
like a, yes.
Okay.
So I don't know, I do know that the contractor mentioned that was,
He met with Pat Elwood and agreed to do some things and we're going to pay for that principal.
okay,
Probably
Good.
up to $2,000.
good. Janice, you want to come on up and give us this additional information about the barn?
On?
Yep.
Yes. Okay, I gave you, everything I wrote about it. I gave you asked to go back to 21, and I went back actually to 19, just to show you, what occurred in 19 for the barn. The revenue was $1,900 and roughly $98, so almost $2,000 was taken in on the barn. In 2020, there was nothing. Obviously, we closed everything for 2020 because COVID hit. So that we didn't have anything. In 21, we had 8 rentals in the barn with a total of $2,600. Tax was added to the prices that were there. The island room was still available to rent in 21 and had 10 rentals for a total revenue of $381, which tax was added. In 22, we had several rentals due in part to not being able to rent the island room because we were already in the island room operations of the rec center. And there were 18 rentals in the barn for a total of $5,011. In 23 so far, we've had 6 rentals for a total of $1,934, tax included, and if no one cancels for any more reasons and no more are added, we should be about $3,700 for the revenue from the barn. Now, I know you asked just for the revenue and how many rentals, but I thought I'd go back to Deb. She helped me out with to know what kind of the expenses would be for that. At the same time, 21, the revenue was 2602. The total expenses were $7,152. Now, the repairs there, I think that had to do with some kind of plumbing issue over there. We had a big plumbing issue to fix the bathroom, women's bathroom toilets or something. That's why the repairs were so high on that one. In 22, we took in $5,000, again, because we had 18 rentals, and we only spent $4,050 as far as, and those are big things. That was just like the repairs in Carroll County Electric is basically what we pay over there for things. And then in 23, you can see it was like a projected revenue of $3,700, 13 rentals, and so far to present, we've spent $1,934 with possibility of our $2,650 total to present for repairs at this point, repairs and electricity. As you see, we did a lot of stuff in there in the wintertime. That's another reason why the electric was probably up, because we had to keep the heat on in the kitchen so that they could do the painting of the furniture and all the stuff they did for the pool area this year, which we've gotten a lot of compliments on how pretty the blue color is.
Looks great.
And it's a addition that's really nice for visual, okay? And we've done a lot of work around the rec center and painting different things and signage and all that kind of stuff. And the barn came in handy for that, to keep the crew working, because we didn't have any place else to do it, but we accomplished it in there. So the island room, I'd say once we vacate the island room, there's going to be, some expense there to repaint and fix the walls maybe, and possibly new carpet. A lot of that carpet is kind of from the tables. It pulls, the thing, and just a little update in there, I would suppose, would be necessary to get it back to renting to smaller groups, card clubs if they come back into play, different things like that. And like people like to use it for small anniversaries, little birthday parties, stuff like that. So I'm open to any questions you might have.
I appreciate your efforts on this, Janice, and especially you gals including the expenses. I was just kind of curious about how it was booked for the season. This is very good information, and we really appreciate it.
Well, a comment, I guess, and that is, I appreciate your work in the administration on removing the propane tank.
Okay.
And then we bought some room air conditioners, so we're all electric over there.
Yes.
Propane bill is really high.
Yes.
It's a tank that goes from me to the chief, and it was huge, and when we got rid of it, there was probably half full, but it was very inefficient way to heat the building. And what I'm going to comment on later was the Tom D's event a week or two ago, and it was cool in there. It was cool. So I think what we've tried to do is make it more energy efficient, which is hard in a 94-year-old structure that was made as a barn, not as a meeting room. But I think we're doing the best we can, and thank you for that effort.
The two window air conditioners work really well. We still have 2 other air conditioner units in there too.
Right.
So those have been worked on quite a bit. I don't know, critters chewed the wires on one, and then something was building a nest in the other one. So, you know, we gotta keep up with that. Kim tries to keep up with it as best she can. Sometimes she can't find it. They're upstairs in this little, I wouldn't even walk in there. No, I mean, crawl in there. Kim crawls in there to clean it out. I don't know how she does it, but you know, we keep up as best as we can. And usually people will tell us when something isn't working, so we get it fixed right away.
Also, I want to thank Danny, you, for saving a very good air conditioner from the old rec center, and we're moving that over to the barn
Over there.
probably this summer sometime. But it was a very good unit. Big. It wasn't a window. It was a big unit
Yeah.
that the crew kept and over.
Mhm.
That helps.
I think it's interesting to see, I appreciate this information, because it's interesting to see that we actually are having more usage of the barn than we had pre-COVID.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, the barn is pretty much your family reunions, weddings, when they want to do just a, you know, rustic kind of wedding. But that's a big thing in the barn. And different smaller groups will have like a day over there. I think I wrote out when you have, Hi-Ha is going to have something in there, and the different organizations here, Chamber of Commerce had a fish dinner and their fireworks, he's going to use the barn, maybe to serve food or have VIP seating in there or something, I don't know. And then there's an event in August by Hi-Ha. So it is used for those things, and we just try to keep it full, especially when people rent it. You know, I mean, that's the biggest thing when you're asking for money. You want it to look pretty good and work very well. So we try to do the best we can. If there's an issue.
Thank you for this information.
While you're here, please pass on to your troops our appreciation for all they have done, the signage, the
Yes.
mini golf,
Yes.
the paint jobs, even painting the trash cans. The day you and I went through there, they were painting the trash
I
cans.
think everything was good.
It's gorgeous, and and is the pool system working okay?
The pool is so far running
Pool's
fine.
fine,
There's some leaks along, you know, like Kim says, there's always been leaks where the filters are.
Yeah.
But so far they're minor. That's an issue that if they ever, you know, really spring a leak, that is going to be a major issue. But whenever there's a major leak, we can get a plumber in. Those big filter tanks, which I have nothing about, those big sand tanks, that's going to take more issues. They're just going to wear out eventually. That pool has been there for a long time. But the pool looks good. You know, people are still raving about how nice the pool is. The decking is another story, but nobody's really complained about that so far.
Good.
So we just go by that day by day and we'll
Janice,
figure it out.
do you know when the pool was last replastered?
Yes, it goes back, I was working there, so I'm gonna say 8 or 9 years ago, maybe close to, yeah, 8 or 9, I think. And they did it in a fall, you know, the pool was empty, and they did the plastering on the inside and then put new coping around it. The little pool done too. I'm trying to remember, I don't think we put new coping on that, just on the big one at that
That's a
time.
major expense, but we should be
It
able to
was.
get
It
another 8 years out of it, probably.
Yeah. I would think so. It's just a matter of, now in the little pool, we did drain the little pool because of construction. And the fact that I call it a lid, but the cover was totally trash. We had to get that off because when we get a new cover, have to send that one to them, and they have to make it according to that size. So it was pretty shredded, but the springs were still there holding it, so we're hoping that they can still use it, because that pool is a different design completely. So we took it off, we drained it. Now Kim said there were some spots in that pool that would need attention, So like to skim it with something and then, you know, repaint it or something, but she's aware of it. And Richard, our pool guy that, out of Eureka Spring, he has a product and stuff that when it comes to that, we'll have to do that. But you can only see it really when it's drained, and that one was drained, but the big one isn't drained, so. But nobody's complained about, you know, hitting something on the bottom like they did before where it ripped somebody's feet off, so. I mean, yeah, skin would shred if you hit it bad. Before we had it fixed, so far we're okay.
Anything else, anyone?
Please.
Absolutely.
Several months ago, Danny, I guess, made a suggestion that we form, or you, not we, you put together a committee of citizens from Holiday Island to, I guess, look at a long-term plan for the barn. You know, solutions relative to who's going to operate it and where the money's going to come from, that kind of thing. Have you had a chance to, I know you've been very busy with all these other things, but have you had a chance to think about that? And is that something the board would think would be a good idea?
I would think it would be a good idea. It'd be really important to have people on there with good business development experience to assist.
I specifically, you know, obviously there's a group of friends of the barn that are very passionate about it, and that is something we need to respect,
Yes.
but I wouldn't want to see the committee loaded just with them. So we need people with the business acronym, people that understand rentals and that kind of thing, and so.
And I'll continue to pursue that. The answer, the direct answer is no, I have not accomplished that yet. I thought that was just maybe at our last meeting that
Well, it might have been.
that came up, so I've not gotten
I
to
have
it
no
yet.
recall of time.
But I think it's absolutely appropriate, and I'll make sure that happens.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, Janice. Mr. Presley, would you like to update us on the water projects?
I would be happy to, Madam Chair. We, as everyone in the room knows, and including our audience if we're still on, we do have a lot of water projects in the works. The first one that we let for bids was the pressure relief valves, the PRVs. We had 18 remaining PRVs to be replaced in HICID. We got 3 of those done about 3 or 4 weeks ago. Another 3 scheduled over on the island that we're actually going to start this week. We have a setback. We ordered the PRVs, and the company that manufactures these, and they're only, you know, I'd say about twice the size of a shoebox. They're not real big. But when we got these in and took a look at them, they were not correct. I don't understand exactly what they did, but they messed up the design of these valves. And so we had the manufacturer take a look at them, and they acknowledge, yes, we messed that up. They're going to fix them, of course, at their expense. And so we've got a little delay there to get the PRVs back and built correctly. But 3 more on the island, and we finished those. That means we're only down to 12. We're working with Big J Utilities to accomplish that, as well as our own staff who are prepping the site, digging them up, and then coming back and repairing the roadway. Most of these things are under the road. And so that, of course, adds complexity to doing the repairs and then going back and fixing the road. Second thing was well number 4.
Danny, could I ask a question on another item first?
Sure.
About how long will the redo of those PRVs take from that company once they get them back from us? What kind of a delay are we looking at?
You know, our crews are working on them as they can, as they work on other projects and their day-to-day activities. So I would hate to give you an exact timeline. Our goal was to have them finished by the end of this calendar year.
But what I'm referring to is the delay in redoing the ones that you got that were the wrong type. They have to be sent back to that company and then resent to us, right?
That's correct.
So what is that delay? 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 10 weeks?
I don't want to misspeak and give you a timeline on that, sir. I don't know. But I will update the board when I get that information.
It's interesting that they would not make it correct, because when you for a long time, maybe a year, we had the PRVs back there on the table so that everybody could look at the old ones and the new ones. And it seemed that there was a pretty common thing around the United States, but maybe this is a different type or a different company or whatever. But disappointed, this has been going on a long, long time. Long time.
Since 2017.
Yeah.
And we've gotten as many done in the last 2 years as we have the previous 5 years. We're making progress.
That's right. Moving forward. Okay.
The next project that we advertised for bids was well number 4. Well number 4, the pump and the pipes and the chlorine system are all in pretty good shape. What we need at well number 4 is a backup power supply with an automatic transfer switch. So if we do have an interruption of power, the generator will kick on and it'll be a seamless transition and we'll have water. But well number 4 is critical to our water system. It's one of the 3 primary wells that we rely on. We did not get any bids, but then we found out we have to go through a bid process because our policy requires it. But when we didn't get any bids, we immediately went to Plan B, and that was just to find someone who could do the work. Riggs Caterpillar out of Springdale is on a state contract, and there is a third-party broker that handles state contracts. It's called Sourcewell. And you can get on that website and you can find different providers. And so that made it pretty easy. I contacted Sourcewell. They sent me the Caterpillar contract. I contacted Caterpillar, explained the situation, and explained that the generator that was previously there at well number 4 has been out of service for a long time. There are no parts. It was built in either Sweden or Switzerland. So it's already been removed. There is no backup power there. So it's critical that we get this thing fixed as soon as possible. So Riggs came out last Monday. They were extremely accommodating. I spoke to him on the previous Friday, and he was here at my office at 9 o'clock Monday morning. They already have this particular generator on order. I mean, it's been on order, but it wasn't earmarked for any other project, so now it's coming to us. He took the measurements. We went out and he calculated the amperage and all of the variables that we need to do the transfer switch, and gave me the dimensions of the concrete pad on which this generator will sit. And the pad that is there now from the old generator, which by the way was bought at like Home Depot, it was a residential type generator, not appropriate for this application. That's why it didn't last. So we have to build a new, larger concrete slab to accommodate this larger generator. And I've got a contractor going to meet me this afternoon to go out there and look at it, take the measurements, and get started on that. And it has to have a little pony wall about 12 inches high all the way around it to encapsulate the slab in case you have a leak of fuel from the generator. It will catch that fuel. That's just part of EPA requirements and so forth. Anyway, that's where we're at. Hopefully we'll get that slab built in the next 30 days. So when the generator gets here, we've tried to get the sequence of things in the right order so we don't have any delays. And I'm waiting on the final quote from Caterpillar on exactly what it will cost. We have a quote that's 2 years old, but prices have changed. And so my guess is we're gonna be in the $170,000 range, including the concrete pad.
I had a question on what ESI wrote up, Jeff, the engineer.
Yes.
For well 4. He had, I didn't see the contract or the wording of it, but weren't there other things besides the generator that should or that they're recommending be done with well 4? But we didn't get any bids on that, on any of it.
Well, you may recall, or you may not recall, but I've sent the document, the bid packet, with all the design work for well number 4. I sent that to the board about 2 months ago when it was 127 pages, so it's pretty lengthy. And it's very detailed. There's a lot of schematics, a lot of engineering in there, including a lot of detail about the power loads and the amperage and the motors and the transfer switch and all of that. So
I remember you
Is
said
that-
that, but I'm not an engineer, but what else would need to be done in terms of the power and amperage and so forth to that well so that the new generator, if it's needed, would come on and pump? But certainly there's some other things that well 4 needed. I think you said something like 300,000 or 400,000 last meeting. That it would,
Well, 5 needs.
5, was it, were you talking about?
well 5 is going to be very expensive. Probably, I'm afraid, in excess of $500,000 for well number 5. But back to your point, well number 4 is in good shape in terms of the pump and the plumbing and the pipes and the valves and the chlorine, where we add the chlorine gas. That's all good. We need a backup power supply and an automatic transfer switch, which may require some different wiring, because the wiring that the generator, as I mentioned, the generator that was there previously was undersized, and it was a residential, and it was not designed really to carry that load. So there's probably some wiring, and it's about, I would say, 30 feet or so of wiring that may have to be upgraded to carry this load for this new generator.
So other than
so
the
that's
wiring
it.
and buying the new generator and having a slab underneath it to collect gasoline in case of leak, well 4 doesn't need any other thing, any other repair.
That's correct.
Now, how long did he work on that proposal, that 127 pages you sent? What I'm getting at, I'm not being critical.
6 months.
It seems like it was months and months and months.
About 6
And now all of a
months, I
sudden-
believe.
Hmm.
About 6 months is my best guess without looking at the,
But all that came out was nobody wanted to bid on whatever it was, except we need a new generator and a pad under it and some wire.
yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
Just
ma'am.
have a quick question, and this is going to show how a novice on water wells I am.
I got a lesson that day.
Does it sit in the building? Is it undercover?
It is not undercover. It's, as you're looking at the front of that well building,
Start first,
It's-
it's at Fort Apache.
Yeah.
it's at Fort
And
Apache.
the chlorine is in another building.
Okay, but I guess my question is, I understand building a pony wall to hold it back any diesel that might fall, but what about rainwater that comes in? What
It-
happens then, if it's not
It
undercover?
would fill up. I mean, it's not gonna have a built-in drain because it's
Okay.
gotta be watertight.
That's what I was wondering.
So you are correct. It does sit outside the building. As you're looking at the front of the well building, it's on the right-hand side, maybe 10 feet off the building. And,
Most emergency generators do sit outside, so that's why I was thinking, it rains here. Sometimes it rains a lot.
and when they took the old generator out, they knocked out one side of that little pony wall, and they were able to drag it out and then load it up onto a trailer. When we set this new generator, the pony wall will be built intact on all 4 sides, so they'll have to set it down in there with a crane.
would it be prudent to put a, for lack of a better term, a pergola over this
Yeah, like
thing?
a shed cover.
To shield off some of the rain and snow? I mean,
That's,
I'm not asking you to answer that specifically, but maybe the engineer or the Caterpillar people, they would know. I know
it
these.
sounds like it would make
these,
sense to
Power
me.
units sit all over the
time,
world
Yeah.
Outside, yeah, they're designed to sit out
That's
like
right.
that. But it's a good point, you know, so we don't fill up that deep with water inside there. However, it doesn't, the generator itself doesn't sit flat on the slab. There are two giant I-beams, about 12 to 16 inches tall, that are fastened to the bottom of the generator to provide a base,
Oh.
so that the generator actually sits about that far above the slab
That explains.
on these I-beams.
That's handy.
So if we get that much water, we have a whole lot of other big problems
Yeah.
to worry
Yeah.
about.
Well, it appears to me when I looked at the designs that the I-beams are of sufficient height that the water would overflow off the sides before it would ever reach the bottom of the generator.
Yeah.
Well, it's good that the project is moving forward, and to Ken's point, it's very frustrating, the amount of time that, whether you're waiting on engineers, or architects, or whatever expertise we are required to utilize, it gets, for our common sense little brains, it doesn't seem quite right, but it's the world we live in, and let's make sure it's done right.
Well, I'd have to reiterate how pleased I was with Riggs Caterpillar. I mean, we found out on a Tuesday that we had no bids. And on the following Monday, 6 days later, Riggs Caterpillar was out here measuring to do this job. So it was a quick
He was,
regroup and get turned around in another direction.
Does the diesel tank sit in that dam enclosure as well?
Yes, sir. It's actually, the tank is actually contained in the
In the
generator
power
unit,
unit?
in the power unit.
Okay. We'll keep that to that.
Now, I have one more question, and
Oh.
I hesitate to ask this, knowing how slow supply chains are lately. Did he give any idea how long it would take before they got delivery on this? That could take forever.
It's funny that you asked that question, because I just asked the same question on Friday, I believe it was. I exchanged emails with Mike, who's the rep from Caterpillar. He couldn't give me a timeline.
That's what I figured.
well, actually, we were pretty lucky because he had his inventory that was coming in. He told us he thought he had this particular model already in the works to come. So it's in the pipeline.
Could be worse.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's not coming from their plant in China.
We didn't go that far. I learned a lot. It was interesting to visit with him, and they were most helpful.
Yes.
And the
Very
Sourcewell thing is already pre-bid, so we don't have to worry about getting a bid from Riggs directly. That's all covered by the state agency. And so that was an important part of being able to move quickly until and we may need a special meeting to pay for it if he gets us a date and needs money, then we'll call a special meeting so that we can get it paid for and get it going.
Danny, one more question, just like Suzanne asked. You need to ask these questions if you don't know the answer, and that is, at what point on all of our wells would it be that well 4, with its emergency generator, when it's all done and all built and working like a champ, at what point would that be the only water supply to the city of Holiday Island? At what point? When 4 others go down or 3 others go down? Explain if you can
Well,
what that looks like.
The point would be if well 1 and well 5 stopped working,
Okay.
that would leave well 4 as the the sole source of water for Holiday Island.
And-
If you exclude those that are being used for irrigation on the golf course.
However, fortunately, we completely rehabbed well one last year.
Correct, yes, which should be good for
Should be
many
no
years.
problem.
Is 5 the one down by the main gate on 23?
No,
It is off of Holiday Island Drive, I believe,
No, it's
down,
off Country Club,
off Country Club.
bottom of
Yeah.
Country Club.
down at Wild Turkey and
Okay.
Country Club.
And what's the number, the one down by the main gate?
You go down at well 5, down like a steep hill, just about 100 feet off the road there, and it's,
But the one as you go in, you're gonna turn to Eureka Springs, that big one, right at the main.
That's the one we can't
That's
use
7.
because.
no, that's 7, and
That's irrigation well.
yeah, and that's because of the proximity to the highway and Holiday Island Drive right there. And we made another run at that about 3 or 4 months ago with the state to see if they would reconsider. However, the engineer who first made the decision that we were not allowed to use that well, he is now the chief engineer at the state. So our second request was quickly denied.
Just worth a try.
Thank you, that helps explain it a little bit to me, yeah.
Okay. We are ready for new business, and I'm going to jump down to the financials first, because due to the late arrival of the accountant's report, we are going to postpone that until the next meeting. Danny hasn't had a chance to review those, so we are going to skip that, postpone it. So the next item, item number 1, is consideration action to purchase a 2004 Pierce Quantum aerial quint ladder truck for $99,500. So the question to the commissioners is to purchase a 2004 ladder truck for $99,500. Do I have a motion to hear the question?
Make a motion to hear the question.
A second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Childers and seconded by Commissioner Brown to consider the question. District Manager, will you please update the board and introduce Fire Chief Yates?
Yes, Chief Yates, if you want to come ahead to the, I'll turn my mic on to the lectern. First of all, thank you, Chief, and Leonard Walton. Leonard made a trip to Sacramento, California.
So this
because
is Leonard.
this is
Word
Leonard.
about you, Leonard.
Mostly good.
Leonard
Oh,
is a licensed electrician. He is a mechanic. He's a jack of all trades, master of some. And he does a lot for maintenance, both on our buildings and our trucks. And so he was the right guy to go out there and take a look at this. And if I'm not mistaken, Leonard, you were the person who found this truck online. What I know about the truck is it was a government-owned truck, and so there's service records and this and that. And so after Leonard's visit out there and spending several hours looking over this truck, he found it to be a good purchase for us. It's the appropriate size that we need. We do have multi-story structures here in Holiday Island, which requires us to have a ladder truck to get the ISO rating that we need. And I don't want to steal any more of your thunder, Chief, so I'll let you take it from here.
I love it when I have a well-informed audience. Good morning. First of all, I want to apologize for my appearance. I come before you looking much less than professional and with some very tired colleagues. It's been a long weekend for the fire department. Good things happen, though. I want to thank the Board of Commissioners. I saw quite a few of you at the barbecue supper on Friday night. It was held by the auxiliary and the fire department. Last count is we fed 170 and ran out of food and had to start turning people away. We appreciate the support of the community and the hard work by the auxiliary and our volunteers to make this event a go. Golf tournament on Saturday went very well. Also, 25 teams played, and again, I saw some familiar faces there. Eureka Springs Fire Department sent up a team just to see what they could do to show some folks up. And
And they got a hole-in-one.
They did.
Oh, is he the one that had, oh, that was on
Yeah.
the big, that was on number 17.
Oh, good.
Did it win a car?
Big hole in one.
It was on 17.
Money.
But none of this would have been a success without the support of the community and the Board of Commissioners being there, showing their support. We appreciate you all, and we appreciate our community for coming out and supporting the auxiliary. Just about the time we thought things were done and we were wrapped up for the weekend, it kind of took a nosedive downward. About 2 a.m. or 4 a.m. on Sunday morning, we were dispatched to assist Eureka Springs on a very unfortunate event. There was a structure fire just outside Eureka Springs city limit, in which 3 well-known local citizens lost their lives.
Oh, no.
Our condolences go out to that family and to the community for when the names were put out there, very well-known folks and very good folks in this part of Carroll County. So our firefighters rotated out along with Eureka Springs, Inspiration Point, and some other groups all through the day yesterday. So after about 12 hours in the hot sun, our firefighters came home exhausted, went to bed, back up at 3 o'clock this morning for a fire at the St. James Episcopal Church in Eureka Springs. Unfortunately, that church, I believe, has been gutted. If you get on Facebook, there's a very dramatic video of the firefighters trying to get in the front door of the church to the fire. It's on our Facebook page, and Eureka Springs Fire and EMS. It shows them opening the front doors and fire literally rolling over their heads. But those firefighters did make a successful attack. The fire was suppressed. Eureka's still out there doing a little mop-up and investigation, but our folks came home even more tired at about 6 a.m. So my hat's off to our volunteers and staff. We are very blessed to have such dedicated people that are putting forth so much time. Anyway, back to where I'm supposed to be here, that's storytelling. I want to introduce Leonard Walton, who you've just met. I jokingly call him my fleet manager. He has been doing a lot of the footwork on trying to research trucks that we find and find what's appropriate quality item, what will hold up, that'll make it worthwhile. He already investigated one ladder truck, and we ended up having to dismiss that one as a potential candidate due to some things that he had found that were wrong on that truck. This time we think we found a viable ladder truck, and no further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Leonard.
So as y'all know, Randy's told y'all before about our old ladder truck, and we got a call. It's a 1991, and the manufacturer of that ladder truck is out of service. We can no longer get parts for it. We tried and failed. So I took it down and had them take a look at it, go through it, because everybody's worried about ISO and NFPA standards and stuff. Told them that, we need to get it ladder tested and pump tested. Unfortunately, on the old ladder truck, the pump test and ladder test both came back failed miserably. So I'm like, okay, what is it going to take to get it fixed? Thinking, if it's $30,000, $40,000, we'll probably go for it. Come find out it's going to be starting point $80,000 just to get started on it, and then depending on what they run into, price could go up from there. So Randy said, let's start looking at, purchasing a new ladder truck. I said, okay, so I got online, researched them, been around the country a time or two looking at them. Flew out to Sacramento 2 weeks ago, and this one here that I found, it was owned by the county out there, government maintained. It's in good condition. The shop that is selling it is going to certify the ladder and certify the pump. Any problems that they find with it, they'll automatically just go ahead and fix them. The little knick-knack stuff that I pointed out, like one of the lenses was cracked on it, for the emergency light, stuff like that, they already put it in their shop and already are working on it. They're like, thanks for pointing it out, we'll get it taken care of. Total price on it's $99.5. It does come with a pump certification and ladder certification, which is good for 1 year, because you got to update them every year per ISO standards and NFPA. Other than that, I'd like to ask for 2 of us to go out there, fly out there to drive it back if y'all approve the purchase of it. If we can get it working, I'll show y'all new pictures of it. That's our old one, as y'all know. It is cracked at the base of the ladder, so if you put any kind of weight on the end of that ladder, you take a chance of hurting a firefighter, killing a firefighter, anything like that. You can't get the tires. I mean, that's how bad it is. We can't even get tires for that thing because the manufacturer's out of business. Went over all the repairs with y'all and stuff that it actually needs. I mean, it's in bad condition and it's not worth fixing because how old it is.
It made a good backdrop for the golfers.
It did make a good
It made
backdrop
a
for
great
golf.
backdrop for golfer pictures.
I mean, what's that old saying? It makes a great paperweight. That's a big piece of paper it's holding down.
To talk to us about the new one.
The new one, so
There we
that's,
go.
that's a
Okay.
picture of the new one. It's a 55-foot ladder, which is suitable for Holiday Island. It has the short wheelbase, that way we can get it in some of the tight places. Its overall length on that one is 36 feet long, which is not much longer than most of our normal fire trucks out here. It has a 55-foot stick on it with a nozzle on the end of it that can be operated from the ground, so we don't have to put somebody actually up on the ladder unless we absolutely need to. And we're only required 55 foot because the commercial buildings we do have out here don't require anything higher because we don't have anything over 3 stories. So 55 foot is suitable for us. It's short. If you look at the pictures of the bumper right there, that's where your actual cross lays are for your 1 3/4 for your attack lines. So if we got to pull in somewhere, everything's right there on the front of it. We can pull hose lines, plus go ahead and get the ladder up and start spraying. It has a 500-gallon poly tank on it. 750, no, that one there has a 1,000-gallon GPM pump on it, which is suitable for ISO. ISO only requires 750 GPM. So it will completely meet ISO standards. You can operate it from the rear or from the side panel. So if I got a pump operator that's pumping the truck at the same time and he needs the ladder, he can operate everything from one spot without having to have 2 people tied up, one on the back and one on the side like our old one. Has multiple jump seats in it for personnel. It has 4 jump seats in the back that hold the SCBAs. That way, as you're going to the call, they can put on the SCBA to speed up time. And then the passenger seat has a jump seat in it too. Has plenty of storage on it for doing rescues and stuff, which is what you usually use a ladder truck for, is a lot of rescues. So it has plenty of storage for that. Overall, it's just a great truck, and the manufacturer, it's a Pierce, which has been around since 1913. I don't see them going out of business anytime soon. And we got Pierce shops all over the place that can actually work on that truck. And there's just y'all, I put a few pictures on here for y'all just so y'all can see what the overall truck looked like. But it's a 2004 model, which is way newer than what we currently have. And I was trying to, stay within budget of Holiday Island because a new ladder truck can't cost you $2 million. Even some of the ones I did find that were, say, a 2016, 2017 model was gonna run us 1.2. Yeah, ladder trucks are one of the most expensive trucks on the market. I've been doing this 25 years. I retired from the city of Houston, and I did this for them. I bought new trucks for them and stuff. Before I retired down there, I bought 2 new engines, and just them engines alone were $750,000 a piece for one brand new one. Yeah, so fire trucks are not cheap. So everything works out on this one. They get it completely up to ISO standards. The 99.5 is a good deal. Yeah. And especially for the year that it is, I couldn't believe I found one that year with that kind of price. It does have, and it does have 80,000 miles on it, which it's a diesel engine. If you know anything about diesel engines, 80,000 miles is just barely getting it broke in.
And we talked about that with the twins and the fact that we don't cover many miles generally.
Right.
Mileage is not a big problem.
Yeah, Holiday Island, I think we cover a total, what, 40 miles is all we cover here. So, and it ain't like they run on every call. You know, it depends on the call and what trucks run.
Could I just briefly add something? This company was kind enough to hold this truck for us for the mere price of $1,000. So we sent them $1,000 on a credit card. Obviously, that would go towards the purchase if we buy the truck, but that was a nice gesture for them. Because this truck at this price point and everything that he's just described, I don't think it would be on the market long.
No. I mean, even some of the older trucks I was looking at that were a little bit more pricier than this. I looked at one that was over in Georgia, turned around and got the approval to go look at it and stuff. Called them and said, hey, I'm going to come out and look. They're like, that truck's gone. And it was a 2001. They wanted like $120,000 for it. But the problem that I was running into looking at these ladder trucks is with the stations that we currently have right now, how big our bays are, I have to find something that fits inside our bays. I mean, there's plenty of ladder trucks out there. Problem is making them fit inside our bays.
And that was going to be my first question, Leonard, is, as I did last time, does it fit in the barn?
Yes, sir. It'll fit in every bay that we currently have,
Okay.
Excellent.
with the exception of the older bay, the original 2 bays on the Station 1. Then that's just because them 2 bays are shorter than the rest of them, but it will still fit up at Station 1. On the other side where the engines is, it'll go fit in Station 2, 3, and Station 5. I don't count Station 4.
I appreciate what all of you have done. I'm looking for this. It's hard, and I think the last meeting we talked about what Danny just said is putting a deposit on it so it doesn't
Right.
get sold away from us. I asked you three before the meeting about going out there, and you said to drive it all the way back would be 2 drivers.
Right.
I would really recommend that.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Definitely 2
Yeah, you
drivers.
can.
Because, so, we all know how far of a drive it is from here to California.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's in a car.
Yeah.
So when I was at their shop in California, I actually pulled it up on my GPS and I'm like, because curiosity kills the monkey, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I'm like, how far is this gonna,
Yeah.
from here to the house? How long is it gonna take me? Well, if you drive straight through, no stops, it's almost 29 hours. It was 28 hours and 43 minutes from Sacramento, nonstop. Well, we all know, if you do it in a car, you're gonna have to stop, so you're probably looking at 35 hours in a car. Now, picture going in a fire truck at 60 miles an hour. Plus, fire
Through the
trucks,
mountains.
through the mountains. Plus, fire trucks are gonna burn more fuel, so you're gonna have to stop. Because like my personal truck out there, it's a diesel. I can drive from here to Houston on 30 gallons of diesel. But in a big fire truck like that, it ain't gonna get 22 miles to a gallon.
Leonard, have you explored, I see fire trucks going down the interstate quite often on flatbed semis.
Yes, sir.
Have you explored that
I have.
as an option?
$17,000.
Are you serious?
Yes, sir.
Wow.
That was gonna be my question.
I'll volunteer to drive.
So yes, I looked at it, it's gonna be roughly, I calculated it's gonna be roughly probably $2,000 to $2,500 for 2 of us to fly out there. That's for us, for airplane tickets and 1 night in a hotel, because we'd have to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to be at Exney Airport to catch the plane, then you fly to Dallas, and we all know how Dallas layovers are, then you fly out to Sacramento, so we probably wouldn't get there until 2, 3 o'clock, and naturally, we're gonna be tired, so we're not gonna wanna get right on the road, so we're gonna need at least one night in a hotel. And then I figured probably on the high end, probably $5,000 to drive it back between fuel and food.
Will the vehicle be ready if you were to go this week? Would it be ready?
They got it in the shop now, doing all the testing and everything on it. He knew that our meeting was today. I told him that I'd try having some kind of answer from the board today, that way I could call him and let him know.
Okay.
But he said that it shouldn't be no more than 2 weeks from the time our board meeting was.
Okay.
Good.
You have to pick up the twins this week, don't you?
Yes.
Yes, sir, they
Oh,
get
I
picked
wondered
up,
if
It's a busy
they were
week.
here.
they get picked up Friday.
And where are they again?
Pine Bluff, easy jump compared to Sacramento.
So, Chief, the elephant in the room, how do we pay for this? You know, we've been buying and buying and buying. I think we're $500,000 over budget on the fire department in the last 18 months. You know, our well is running shallow. The first thing that pops in my mind, when I want to buy a new kayak, I think, I sell the old one first, you know. Do we have a plan in place, Chief? If we buy this, if we vote today to buy this, we will have replaced 4 vehicles. Do we have a plan in place to sell all of that stuff and recoup?
We do.
And your best guess as a fire professional, what do you think what kind of income would we get from that
Purple
Whatever.
Wave.
Purple Wave sale?
Due to the age and condition of the equipment that we're selling, I'd be surprised if we're getting $5,000 for any.
Really?
That's it. Just prior to coming here, we attempted to sell a ladder truck in another department. It's still sitting in the back lot. Nobody would give the $10,000 that the city wanted.
Wow.
And it's in better condition than ours. So I doubt we can recoup the $5,000 per vehicle.
And the other trucks,
The
the
same.
same? I've seen a lot of them.
Because so like our old engine one, I don't know how many of y'all actually seen it, but it's if I'm not mistaken, that one, there's a 1971. And I got it started after, took me 3 months working on it, but I finally got it started. I haven't had the guts to drive it yet.
Don't bother.
That's all right. We'll
Don't
take
bother.
it now.
We tried to sell that at the White Elephant sale since we had our sale down at that station. And we had a couple of it.
You know, there's an emerging market for old fire trucks, and they turn them into food trucks.
Yes.
Right.
They strip everything out of the inside of them and make them into food trucks, and they're
Yeah.
really cool.
If you go over off of A Street in Bentonville, they actually have one. They took an old fire truck and turned it into a food truck. Yeah, I wired it up for them. That's the only reason why I know about it.
Chief, before you came, Danny, you'd remember this, we sold a truck that was behind the Station 1. I think we got $55,000 for that one. Chief let it go.
It was an old ambulance.
What was it, an ambulance?
Yeah, I believe it was an ambulance.
I thought it was a truck, okay. Well, Bob, I agree with your concern, and I share it, but with the news that Chief brought us 3 months ago about ISO, I don't think we have a choice.
Well, and Ken, don't get me wrong,
No.
I'm not an opponent,
Yeah,
but I try to look at things, how would I handle this if I was spending Bob's money,
yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And because the money that we're
Right.
handling here belongs to our neighbors.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we have to be very diligent about doing the right thing and making sure that we're covering the bases. That's why I always ask the chief, how long is this going to serve us? You know, how many years of service can we get out of this truck?
Absolutely valid.
This 2004, if we would keep it maintained, and that's what I've been working on, is getting all of our vehicles up on service and everything, and trying to fix what I can, stuff like that. Matter of fact, I had some parts in the other day for one of the fire trucks too. That way I can tear it apart and try fixing it.
Mhm.
Because you can ask Chief, instead of sending them to the shop, I try fixing them first. Like there was one day I spent half of my shift tearing down a pump and rebuilding one of our pumps completely. So trying to save us money there. That's why it took so long for me to actually find one that, you know, because I didn't want to spend $500,000 on a fire truck. You know, this, like I tell Chief all the time, I know this ain't City of Houston, I can't do this.
Your PowerPoint would have had to have been a little longer than that.
Yeah, right. So I always look at trying to save us money. But if we keep this truck and actually maintain it like it's been maintained, you know, through the government and through the county, it will last another 20 years. I mean.
Are you gonna be around that long?
Am I gonna be around? I don't know. Maybe if I'm not my replacement, I can train them to do it.
Adding on to what you were asking, what I envision us doing in coming years, since we will be set for the moment for trucks, and should be good for several years, is every year start putting money aside for a future replacement. We're not caught like this again. We don't have to make these big gouges in the budget.
And if you recall, several months ago, I think, I asked you for that very thing, you know, so that we as a board can move from being reactive to being proactive. And in order to do that, we have to have a plan in place, and there's always going to be hiccups. You know, there's always going to be emergencies, just like there is at the pool or in the roads department or wherever, but these big dollar purchases, they cannot go on endlessly,
Right.
and it's a crime that the fleet was allowed to deteriorate to the point it was. Which is my last
There's
question,
been
I
many
think.
years of neglect.
Yeah.
That's what it was. It's just years of neglect.
Our fleet in the fire department is 18 vehicles, is that correct?
Yes, and that includes boat trailer.
Well, true. Do we need all those vehicles? I mean, like Berryville, they don't have a fraction of that in their fleet.
We do.
We do?
Because we have 5 fire stations, so that's 5 engines. We also have tankers, because not everything's covered by hydrants, so we have 3 tankers. We have 2 brush trucks, 2 auxiliary vehicles, and of course, in that fleet, we're also counting a side-by-side that we use for golf
Okay, I
course.
didn't realize
So
that.
that kind of bumps up the
Yeah,
number.
in that count, I'm the one that gave Randy that count. That counts like our flatbed trailer to haul the side-by-side on.
Oh,
That counts the box trailer that we use to do all kinds of stuff with, you know, moving hoses and from one station to another station. That counts the boat trailer, all the fire engines, the tankers. That's still counting, you know, like the old fire trucks that we haven't sold yet, like the old engine 1, stuff like that.
Well, I'm glad I asked that question,
Yeah.
because that makes me feel a lot better about it. I thought we were
Otherwise,
a
it
little,
would look very extract, wouldn't it?
yeah.
Yeah, because when I count
We've
fleet,
started-
when I count fleet, I count everything that falls under our umbrella.
Okay.
As a fleet, if it goes on the road, it's considered fleet vehicle.
That's excellent, thank you.
Chief, I have one more question, sort of like Bob's, and that is, I would like to see us pass this morning and get you on the plane and get out there and get it. Are there any other big purchases? I mean, you came in here and told us bad news that you found when you arrived. Are there any other equipment, nozzles, uniforms, helmets, anything like that your fire, they've been busy. I've never seen them as busy as they have been the last 2 months. But are there any other things that this board needs to be aware of that for ISO and more importantly, the safety of our firefighters?
A few things coming up.
Would
One-
you mind going to the mic,
Sure.
please? I'm sorry, I know you're tired, I hate to ask.
Yes, sir, there's-
That's part of this too.
There's still some things in the works. We still have some trucks that need to be repaired, but we can't take them out of service until we get other trucks in service. So we still have some big repairs coming up, especially the pumps on 2 of the trucks. Also, we're still waiting on a lot of the equipment that we ordered to come in because of the supply chain issues that was mentioned earlier. A lot of our stuff is on hold. As a matter of fact, we can't get some of our stuff till September. And so we're still going to have bills coming in throughout the rest of this year. Unless something major breaks though, I don't see another gigantic purchase like this coming this year. If it does, it's going to be very unforeseen.
Okay, and while you're at the microphone, Mr. Presley, and you have brought us up to date quite well on the fire hydrant situation. Where are we with that, in your opinion, right now?
It's been sidetracked temporarily due to the number of calls and trying to get the trucks in service. I only have one full-time person on duty each day, so we've been focusing on trying to get the trucks going. So we have had some testing finished, but we still have to pick back up with it when the trucks are squared away. As a matter of fact, speaking of ISO, I was asked by Commissioner Surratt and Mr. Presley to give you guys a update on that at our next meeting and do a kind of comprehensive presentation of where we were, where we are, where we have plans. It's within the 6 months.
Good, thank you.
Any
Thank you,
questions,
Chief.
answer? Thank you.
Thank you both.
May I make
Sure,
one comment?
absolutely.
First of all, I want to say congratulations and thank you for finding 4 vehicles at an affordable cost for it. I mean, I think all of us were just horrified at the cost of what a fire truck could be, and the way that y'all were able to locate these regardless of where they are. I'm just really pleased about that. Yeah, we've had to spend some money, but I want to remind y'all that about 6 months ago, I said we have $1 million more in our checking account, our money market account, than has historically been held in the past. So I think we have, plenty of money to go ahead. The people didn't pay us our taxes for us to put it in the bank and hold it there. They want us to use it for what the community needs. And this is something that is definitely a community need. And the other thing, talking about setting back money for future purchases, we do have that equipment reserve fund that money is put in that every year. And now that almost all of our vehicles are lease vehicles, which is a stable expense for us each year, it seems to me that almost every bit of money that goes into that could be used for fire trucks. And we probably ought to look at how much money we're putting in that equipment reserve fund and make sure that it's enough to buy these. Yeah, we need to have a staggered stepped system of replacing these and make sure that we have enough money to do that. We were able to get one of these purchases out of the equipment reserve. We'll have $100,000 left in it. So that's going to play an important part in our budgeting. But hats off to y'all. Y'all really accomplished a phenomenal thing, I think. I was just scared to death about where we're headed with all this.
Thank you.
I guess you were too.
Leonard, we really appreciate your efforts.
Yes.
Really appreciate what you're doing for our, well, it's more than just doing your job. It's going over and above. And both you and Chief and the whole
The
staff,
whole staff.
we are so proud of our fire department.
Got some good people.
Yes, you do.
I bet you need a motion.
I have a motion.
You have a motion, all right, okay.
Any other commissioner discussion? Everybody okay? Does anyone wish to speak in favor or in opposition to the motion? Give you all 3 minutes. None. Commissioners, are you ready for the motion? The motion is to purchase a 2004 Pierce Quantum Aerial Quint ladder truck for $99,500. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, and the motion to purchase the fire truck has passed.
Thank you.
Hit the road, guys.
Thank y'all.
I heard a nap in my future. Thank you, folks.
Yes, yes.
Thank
Y'all
you,
go home and
Chief.
take naps. You may leave if you're ready. Thank you so much for what
Thank
you
you
do
for
for
all
us.
you do. Thank you.
Don't hurt yourself on the way out. All righty, let me find my agenda here.
Zach Schultz.
Zach,
Schultz.
thank you.
I've lost a page. My page. Okay, commissioner comments.
Yes, ma'am, I have one. I must have been sleeping when we moved it from the beginning, and the reason I thought it was best at the beginning of the meetings, because a lot of people leave before the end of the meeting. And Barbara's shaking her head. Anyway, I'll be brief about it. A couple of things. About a week or a half ago, we had a barn event honoring Tom Dees for his service in buying Holiday Island for $10 million years ago. And Kathy, his wife and daughters were there, and it was really a nice program. Commissioner Stamps went the day before to a service down in Fayetteville where they had his church, and then he was also there for this meeting. It was put on by Sheila Wolf, and HICID donated the barn to the cause with Jens. Okay. There was about 100 people there, and they used their own speaker system, so the only downside that I heard was it was hard to hear. I heard it okay from the hearing aids way up. But Senator Brian King was there, State Senator King. Larry gave a real nice words. Carrie, thank you for being there and talking about Mr. Dees that you did, working with him a long time. So several people said we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Tom Dees. And the story is he went home one day and said, Kathy, I borrowed some money from 3 banks. She said, 3 banks? What did you borrow? $10 million. Most of us would fall over backwards. It's probably $20 million in today's funds. So I'd like to thank him, Tom, and for all his services to the people here, and Sheila Wolf and her staff and friends that put it on. Larry, thank you also, Carrie. The other thing I'd like to thank, and this is positive, I want to be positive here, signs by Jay. If you look around now, especially the one down the HI sign, it's a round, big green sign, and you're going down, if you're going down State Line, okay, it's a big cement sign. It's got holes in it that they drilled or something, I don't know where. It's called the HI sign. Jay painted that, green and yellow, and it's beautiful. I saw 2 families there having, no,
Bill and Gloria
Bill.
Evie painted that.
Who did?
Bill and Gloria Evie.
Oh,
I
Evie.
took pictures of them, Ken, as I was coming to work.
Oh,
And they
okay.
cleared out all that vegetation, but they,
Yeah,
the
I'm sorry.
High Hall did that.
Yeah.
But
Evies
Jay
are
did all the
wonderful.
directional signs.
Yeah, Evies are wonderful people. I thought
Yes.
Jay with all the other signs, but thank you.
No,
for
yeah,
that.
because I
Yeah.
have pictures of them on my phone and do
But-
it. So.
Over the last
Who
3,
is doing the sign though? Because one
Jay.
time I was turning here at the 4-way stop,
Yeah.
and I actually stopped the car and said to some man who was up on a
Yes.
ladder painting the signs, I said, thank you for what you're doing.
His
I
name's
had
Jay.
no idea who I was thanking.
Jay.
Jay Nygaard.
Is he
Yeah.
is he doing it, is that
No, he's a professional
a,
painter.
okay, he's a
Yeah.
painter,
On
all right.
High Hall.
Yeah,
Right.
High Hall, we have to
painted
thank
it.
High Pro, High Ha, and High Sid, am I
Okay.
correct on that? The groups got together and paid him, and he bought the paint, and he's doing as
That's
many as
great.
he can. He spent some of the year in South Dakota and some of the year here. An excellent painter. But I thought that was really great, and I would like to see, it really stands out when you see the pool or the point or whatever, and you see a brand new sign there. That's the only comments I have now.
Any other comments?
That park down there, how it was originated whenever we finished the major construction of the water and the sewer lines. The construction crew decided that they found this big slab of rock, and they took the wagon drill and drilled those holes in it and made that sign. And the name of the park was, we called it Foxman Park. Earl Foxman was the superintendent, basically, of the construction crews. And he did a fantastic job, I might add. God rest his soul, he is no longer with us. But that was called Foxman Park. And it was always envisioned to have a little park there, and it never happened, but it's happening now. And that's a good effort by High Hall or for the phone book people to do that.
I
Anybody?
would kind of like to second that, because I think the High Pro and High Ha, perhaps with funding from the city and HICID, have helped with rejuvenating all these road signs. And it's really, first impressions count, and it really does help to have those. And gosh, if it's the Evies down there doing that, bless their hearts. So,
Okay.
thanks to all of those groups.
Point of clarification too, that Rotary,
The Rotary
as our
donated.
community service for this year,
That's
I'm sorry.
paid a big chunk of Jay's bill.
I
Yes,
forgot.
they did.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Glad you're
Val.
At the request of Hypro.
Thank you.
Your eye on the fishing pier for next year's project, starting July 1st.
Okay.
The year starts July 1st. I'm not sure how soon we can get to the pier.
House Commissioners. Okay, our next scheduled meeting, regular meeting, is scheduled for Monday, July 24, 2023. And as I mentioned, if we need to have a special meeting to pay for a fire truck, we'll certainly do that. Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Excuse me, I'm sorry, did you say, I thought we just did that about the fire truck, just a meeting, just a bit ago.
I'm sorry, I beg your pardon. Well, number 4.
Oh, okay.
I'd like, you're right, I apologize. I was thinking about the special meeting to pay for the new generator.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And Madam Chair, I should have that number, the quote on well number 4 this week.
Good. Yeah. He had hoped to have it with us, but it was a pretty short turnaround.
And an ATA.
Yes, sir, that too.
It would be nice.
Slow boat from China.
Yes.
Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
I second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Brown and seconded by Commissioner Stamps. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The motion to adjourn is carried. Thank you all very much.
By the way, I will make this comment, that air conditioner is working quite well.